So this is a log or a post that I mailed a couple of days ago, or about a week ago now actually. But the sawmill that had settled a bit, so as you see when I took a new cut here, it only took off material at the very ends. So what had happened is that the ends had been flared out because of the way the sawmill beam had been set up. I spent some time shimming, let's see, a piece of hardboard there, for example, and I changed this leg at the end, and now I got the beam pretty straight. So I just did the pass on two of the sides of this post, and now it's back to 5x5. It was about 5.5 by 5.25 inch before I did this, so just gonna make it easier to use it. I've always started my clips with the logs already loaded, so why don't I show you how I put a log such as this on the mill all by myself with hand power only. You get one of these or something like it. These isn't the best one, but this gives you a lot of leverage. Got me up quite a bit. Just gonna place some blocks there so it doesn't slide back. There we go. It is up. And I'm not some kind of buff gym bro. This is programmer muscles here. On this end, just wipe that off. There is some headroom here because the chainsaw bar on the sled or on the saw is at the very front of the sled. So I can pull the sled all the way to the end here. As we can see, I can move that tiny bit farther out still, and it might actually be fine because there's tracks all the way along this and the weight is centered, so I can kind of safely scooch that one over at least that far. What do you see? That actually does get me enough clearance to do some measuring to get the heights. But yeah, what you want to do now for a 5x5 post, it's not a big deal, but when you're doing boards that I'm going to take around the post, now this is not the best log to show it on because it's not very smooth of a surface, but the pith, the very center of the log, is not center of the log. So you want to orient the log in a way that the annual rings become symmetric in whatever boards you're taking out of it. So basically, if we can create a bisecting line based on the ring shape here, I would say it's about that way. Like, that makes the rings symmetrical on either side. So that means I want to put this horizontal or vertical. So I want to rotate the log until this line is horizontal. I should say this is not strictly necessary and depends what you're using the wood for. The benefit you get from making the rings symmetrical in every board or stud you're making is just going to make it more stable. Like, you want the grain to run completely like parallel to the length of the board as well as you can make it, and make it so that the grain is symmetrical from the center to the edges of the board as much as you can make it. This makes the wood more stable. When we're looking at what we can take out of this log in terms of boards and posts and stuff, we need to look at the top side, or the smaller diameter side of the log. And I want a 5x5 from the center, and then whatever I can get around that. So I'm just gonna make a mark at 2.5 inches from the pith to the top, and another inch above that, because I've taken a bit. Yeah, I think that's gonna be good. Now, I made some of these. I don't know if they have a name in English, probably do. In Swedish we call them postningsmallar. I have a bit of a wood block with a nail in it, and now I insert the hole here at my cut line, and I get stuck on this crap, but I just attach the same one in the other side, and I'll show you how they work. As you can see, this one is not flat against the rail, wherever it's called. On the other side we have the same thing. It's up, which means I just need to raise the log almost equally on both sides. And as I'm making the other end nice, you can see this end lowered, which is not unsurprising because it's basically going to pivot in the middle, raise one end, the other one goes down. But what this lets you do is you can see without having to go to the end and measure using like a cutting reference like this, and you can more quickly get it aligned. When these are flat on both ends, and you never have to leave the middle here. I'm a little off words. I need to go down there. This is fine, but the other end is high. Now, I made these before I did some maintenance on the saw, so now the saw actually sits at a different distance from this. So that's why I have this one too. Basically, using this to check, because I made this based on the actual cut of the saw. And right now, this side is a bit high. Don't mind my son in the background. Now I just realized the camera was using the wrong microphone, so I hope the previous audio wasn't too bad. There's a bit of a mark there, it's not very visible. I'm gonna lower this side, one turn or one click, and that might be too much. If I take you with me to the other side, we're about where we want to be here. So let's get cutting. So I just did another cut and just flipped the log around, and then there's one thing that I also should mention that's usually good to keep in mind, that sometimes these nubbins from the branches stick out quite a bit. Now this one would stick out far enough that'd be an issue with the carriage for the saw. But luckily, where it was made it hit here on the post that raises and lowers things, so it's scooted out far enough. Otherwise, I just had to put a block in there so these two wouldn't interfere. With this end being farther out, that meant the other end was too far in, so I had to add a block in there instead. So now, because without that block, this end of the log basically was touching against the rail, which meant the saw would not be able to pass. But yeah, fix that and we're ready to go again. So now Since I flipped it 180 and did another 2 cuts on this side, we're at a 5-inch thick block. I'm gonna flip it on this side. Whoop. And you can stay. Good. So this is the moment when, if you want to be completely anal about it, you'd want to shim it, because 1/4-inch increments on a pivot point towards the middle makes the ends move too much. That's acceptable, and that's acceptable. So when I did the first cut on this log, you might have seen me go back here manually holding the saw carriage, and because it was wobbling quite a bit. And there are 2 reasons why it's going to do that, or 1 reason really. If it's struggling too much to cut, it's going to start shaking a bit, because here it isn't supported back to front as it is here where the legs are. There are 2 reasons why the saw would start to struggle. 1 is you're feeding it too fast, which is not likely with this winch unless I'm cutting something really wide. But what it was in this case was the chain just needed sharpening. So I sharpened the chain. The subsequent cuts went fine. Like, I want to do something here to make this less wobbly, but for now, just go slow in the beginning for logs that are long enough, and it's fine. This is the last log that's more than 5 meters, so the others are between 2.5 and 3.6. I think we have like 1 4-meter log, but the others are significantly shorter. A lot easier to handle. In my previous video, I did go over the fact that there's no power feed on this anymore. Used to be a motor sitting here that did the feeding of the motor, and there's a controller here, there's the variable speed and all. But for now, I'm using this. And this is a bit slow because it's a 4:1 ratio. So 4 turns of the handle moves the main wheel 1 turn. So that means I don't have to put a lot of force into it, but it means it doesn't move a lot. It's a lot of turns to make it go all the way. It's a bit tiring, even though it's not heavy. Now, before I make the last cut for this one to make it a 5x5 post, I'm gonna add this one in there. And be very careful if you're walking on a log stack, because I know that that side is securely towards the end and this side is wedged against the mountain, so it's not gonna move. Like, I'm not stepping on this log because it's kind of loose, because I don't want it to start moving with me on it and my leg getting trapped under it and basically breaking my leg. It's not a nice thing to do, so try to avoid that. Lovely noises. what's today's catch? So here are some of the sideboards that I milled. About half of these are live edge and the other half are edged. And as you can probably tell, these are not like your typical thickness. These are, I guess, 5/8 theoretically, because I lowered the sawmill 1 inch and the saw blade is 3/8, so that leaves 5/8. But yeah, there's some variance in the actual thickness, but there are a lot of things you can do with this size anyway. So it just happened to be that with the size logs I had, this was the best size to take apart from the 5x5 post. And those posts are here. So two of these I milled today. And one is the one that I did the cleanup pass on. And yes, as you might also seen, I left a lot of meat on the bone, so to speak, on the edges. I don't know what they're called in English. But yeah, these are the outsides of the log. These are also 5-inch wide, and they're going to be used as sides for raised beds in our garden. So yeah, this is a new raised bed project that's going on. This used to be where we had an enclosure for our rabbits, but it's going to be moved to a different place. The previous enclosure here was destroyed when we got quite a bit of snowfall at once. And yeah, here's one of the occupants. Had to move for a bit. We're gonna get something permanent for you guys too, but. And this right here, that's the site for the timber framed duck enclosure. You can see these concrete plinths that I've set in the ground, and they mark the outline for this enclosure. So it's a couple of hours later now. There's one last thing I want to do for today before I'm done. It is applying some cleaner to this. There's a lot of pitch buildup when you're sawing spruce and pine logs when they're wet. So spray some of this on it. It's what's it called? The CMT bit cleaner. It works really well for this. But yeah, spray it on. Leave it on for a bit. Let it do it thing. Don't forget the underside. Spend like 5 minutes or something like that. Just take this old brush. Like this was rock hard before I sprayed it. And this is all coming off. Like, just keeping your bar clean and degunking it after you've been sawing like something with a lot of resin in it. It's gonna be easier next time you're sawing, and don't wait until the next time you're sawing until you do this. There we go. I'm gonna sharpen it before I saw the next log. But yeah, that's about it for today. So yeah, it's been a pretty productive day today, and I mean, I sawed 2 logs, so that's not an amazing effort by any means, but that's more than I have for the past week, even though I intended to saw these logs. But yeah, I mean, I don't know where I was going with that, but I have almost everything I need for the enclosure. There's some smaller 2x material that I need still for the roof structure, but apart from that, I think I have everything I need. So next steps is to start the build. Should get going on that and a lot of other projects soon. But it is time to call it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.